From the stories you want to the answers you need, this is Answer the Call, where the takes are real, the guests bring it, and the conversation starts with you. I'm your host, Tim Collins, and whether you're here to question the game, challenge the noise, or just hear it how it really is, you didn't just click the show. You answer the call, and now it is my turn. Welcome in, guys, to a special edition of Answer the Call. I have a special guest, very special guest today, and I'm actually going to be introducing him in just a few moments. So, guys, if you missed it yesterday, we had another guest on. We had Will Ritchie from Hamburg, Arkansas, come on the show. You know, he talked what it was like to be a PA announcer and kind of how he got started doing that. It was a really cool story. If you missed out on it, go check it out for sure. But we have a big one today, guys. We brought the big guns out today from Chicago Sports Radio. We have Marcus McCallum, Marcus Mac, joining the show. Without further ado, welcome in, Marcus. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing excellent, brother. Sorry for the small delay. I was actually taking a second to get my descriptions put up there so that people can know where to find me and what I'm out there doing. So I didn't want to rush that and then I forgot to put the right thing up. So apologies for that small little delay there. But yeah, I'm so excited to be joining you. And the big guns. Wow, I appreciate that endorsement. I appreciate it, man. You make me feel special.
I'm just going off of what Brandon said. Okay, Brandon's been hyping you up, so he's like, Marcus is big. All right, so I was like, okay, if Brandon's saying Marcus is big, Marcus has to be big.
You know what? I'll tell you what. I feel like this: if you love something and you do it every single day, people have no choice but to recognize you for doing that. And I talk sports every day. I love doing things like this, coming on, giving interviews. I could try to connect with people that are even bigger than me in the game. I've actually reached out to David Kaplan, who works for ESPN 1000, and he's taken me on under his wing as to mentor me. So, it is something where I feel like sports has become my life. And so since sports has become my life, I guess then, in the sports world, that makes me a big thing because I'm dedicated to this for probably until, I can't speak on the mic anymore for some reason.
And the cool thing about sports is, especially doing radio and talk shows and, that sort of thing, is as long as you got a mouth that can speak, you're going to be okay, so I'm excited to have you. I'm excited, man. And I kind of just thought of this question last night, so I'm kind of springing it on you. So the clock is ticking. Are you ready to answer the call?
I'm ready, brother. Let's do it.
All right. So here's the question that I came up with last night. And that is, do you think we will ever see women's sports get the ratings and recognition like in men's sports? So say in college basketball or softball or the WNBA, are we ever going to see that, or is it always kind of going to be on the back burner?
Well, you know what? So here's the thing when it comes to women's sports, and I kind of run into these issues sometimes, and it disappoints me because it's in some of the big circles that I talk in sports circles, and you still kind of get a lot of this chauvinistic women's sports or those who cares thing, and ultimately what it really comes down to for me is that I feel like I'm a girl dad. You know what I mean? And so,
same.
Being that, it's like if my daughter had gotten into sports and she's athletic, but that really wasn't her lane. But if she had got into sports and really had gotten to a professional level, I'd be right there on the sideline cheering my head off. I'd be right there screaming, saying how she deserves everything, because I would know all the work did she put in? And I would see it. And so, being that girl dad, I started to understand that. And I
Mhm.
was even before my daughter, I was very open. It was around the 98 with the
Mhm.
women's World Cup when the United States won. And I remember in that moment, I was probably about 18. And I was
Oh.
just drawn in from that very moment of like, wow, like what's going on here? This is something different. This is
Mhm.
something that is not your normal thing. And why is this big? What makes this special? And I started investigating. I started realizing all the work that these women had to put in just to,
Mhm.
you know, get on that stage, and they get so much less than the men. And I think that it just comes that people have to appreciate the work that they put in. And I think if we can get to that point to where
Mhm.
women are appreciated for the work that they put in with just as much as men, then I think then there can be this less of I don't have no time to watch women's sports, or who's, the very person that's complaining about women's sports is the very person that's also not supporting it. I'm going to them, well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with supporting women's sports? What's wrong with letting these women be able to live out their sports fantasies just as much as men? Because at the end of the day, isn't it about competition? Isn't that what we love? We love the entertainment and we love the
Mhm.
competition, and women are providing that for us now in this modern age. So why shouldn't they be paid as well?
Absolutely. And my father-in-law kind of, I was over at their house over the weekend, and my father-in-law kind of brought up this really interesting point, right? We had women's college basketball on ESPN, and we all know that not everybody has ESPN, but maybe some, a lot of people have TNT, TBS, and stuff like that. And that's where the men's were. And I kind of wish they would, kind of alternate just a little. Obviously, men's college basketball, they say brings in the money, but I have no problem watching college, um, women's college basketball, and I really enjoy the softball aspect of it. So, I think they just don't get the recognition, and I think if they did, I think more people would be more fans of women's sports just as much as men's sports.
Yes. I mean, because, I love the women's NCAA basketball tournament just as much as I love the men. I watch
Hmm.
WNBA. I absolutely love it. Their playoffs is just as intense as the men's NBA playoffs. Um, and I find myself even being now drawn to the professional women's soccer league, and you're starting to see really good play, and you're really starting to learn about these athletes. And at the end of the day, like I said, when it comes to any league, people have to understand that it's more than just the players. It's about
Hmm.
storylines. Storylines are what drive the men's professional league. This is what drives the NFL. The NFL is always making news. Even when the season is done, they're still making news. They'll make news, they'll make points all the way up until the draft. And then after
Hmm.
that, they'll gain all the headlines from the draft, and then everybody will talk about the picks that they made, and that'll carry them all the way into where they'll start their summer OTAs, right? And then it'll head into training camp, and they
Hmm.
do it so masterfully, and it's all about storyline. And women's sports needs to start doing that. And I don't know why the reluctance. I guess that it's this idea that we're going to try to promote everyone instead of just one person. And as you see, as the WNBA finally kind of got away from that and realized that we had a real chance to promote a storyline when it came to Caitlin Clark, and when it
Hmm.
came to Angel Reese as well. They utilized those storylines to promote the league, and there's nothing wrong with that. And however somebody falls on their opinion when it comes to those storylines make you talk about the league. They make you
Hmm.
watch the league. So when you could create those storylines, it's awesome. I love the fact that Asia Wilson is with Bam Adebayo from the NBA, the best women's player. She's out there constantly. You're seeing her. Her storyline is become important. It's something that people have interest and they want to follow. And Bam Adebayo by you, dropped 83 points. Asia Wilson is right there by his side. And now when her season gets ready to get started, all eyes are going to be on her. What can she do? Maybe Asia can drop 50 in a game. You see, the storylines are created. That's how you do it. That's what promotes a league at the end of the day. And that's what needs to happen for the Women's Professional Soccer League, as well as if they become with the Women's Professional Flag Football League, which I hope will start, and as well as the Women's Professional Softball League, which is in the making. They need to create the storylines as well as the product on the court.
Mm-hmm. Well, great words from Marcus. You know, that and kudos to you, Marcus. I really appreciate, you being able to just adapt on the fly like that. Some people, they do struggle, and just because the rest of the questions you've prepared for, like, what I'm about to ask you. And I literally, I was just sitting here and I was flipping through the channels and I was like, oh, they're, second round. And I was like, oh, maybe I should ask him about women's sports, because I remember Brandon telling me that, you're a big advocate for women's sports. So I wanted to get your thoughts, and I appreciate that.
All right, not a problem. I absolutely love giving some insight, because it's something that means something dear to me. And I think that these women are, like I said, they're hardworking athletes and they deserve their flowers.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to transition just a little bit, and kind of, this was actually supposed to be the opening and the background of who Marcus is. What's something fans don't realize about working in sports radio?
Oh, man. A lot of people think that it's the funnest thing in the world because, hey, you get to talk sports. They don't understand the work that you have to do behind the scenes to make sure that you provide a great storyline.
Yes.
The work that you have to do in your own self to make sure that you are somebody that people want to listen to. At the end of the day, what you are is a storyteller, and people love a storyteller. Think about it. It goes back to old cavemen time when they would gather around the fire. The most popular person was usually the person that told the best stories. And so that's what we're doing in sports. We're telling these stories. And so you need to be a great storyteller. That is number one. Number two, you have to be engaging. You have to be willing to go out there and be amongst the public constantly. That's not easy. That, especially what if you're someone that's just naturally introverted, but now, you have this ability to talk sports, but you don't want to go out and deal with the masses. So that's something that you have to struggle with and get over. Learning, if you're not a great writer, what do you do? Okay, now you have to get past. Thank goodness now for technology, having this chat GBT stuff, it helps a lot. But that goes into as well as that, you're going to have to write sports stories, and it's keeping the audience engaged. That is not something that there's a book that's wrote on how to do. You kind of have to try to go from that and feel, and then you out there, you're putting yourself out there to be judged by the masses, and having the willingness and the ability to do that is not easy. To be able to tell people that, hey, this is my thoughts and my opinions on something, and I'm a pundit. But at the same time, what if in my mind I'm the best at this and everyone else is like, who is this idiot that's talking sports out there? And you have to live with that. That's something that you have to swallow and be okay with. And because at the end of the day, there's no parachute promised for you in sports media. And so you're jumping out the plane and you're hoping when you pull the cord that you're going to end up with a soft landing.
I started the show kind of last year, and then I ended up taking a break, and basically during the whole football season, and I just kind of returned back in February. And some of my listeners have told me, they're like, since you've been back, I see you more focused. I can tell, like, this is what you really want to do. And like, you're putting in more work than you ever have before. And so I understand that, you have to grind, and you have to put in the work, and make it entertaining, make it your own. Like, how are you going to get people to want to listen to you? Are you going to have bold takes? Are are you going to be the guy that's like, hey, I know ball and this is what I'm going to do? So I agree with you, Marcus.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? Now the flip side of it, I absolutely love it because it's what I want to do. And
Hmm.
so you know what? Yeah, it sometimes it's not fun. Sometimes it is putting in extreme extra work, and you're not always getting a bunch out of it. I'm not some big name guy. I don't work for ESPN. I don't work for the top radio station in Chicago. I'm a guy that's covering Chicago sports at a small radio station, WRMN 1410 AM in Elgin, Illinois. And we're building this from the ground up.
Yeah.
And I'm out here trying to give something, and in the hopes that my dream can continue,
Hmm.
even if I get very little in return. And so there's a lot of work that goes into it that comes from the heart. And that's what people don't understand, is that we're really doing this because we really do love talking sports. We really do want people to hear what we're talking about. It's not about sometimes I think people view us like we're these shady con men, Southern Baptist preachers, like, hey, come drink this holy water over here and give me $10 for this elixir, please. What we're
Oh,
saying is that
yeah.
we want to talk sports to you, but nobody's, the only way we're going to get someone to invest in it is that we have to have people that are listening to us. And that's all we're
Mhm.
asking for. We're just asking people to listen and like. And that's
Yeah.
it. Like I tell people, even if you don't even listen, just go to the channel and just like the channel. That's all we're saying. You don't ever have to watch an episode. Just like it, because it's helping me to be able to do this, the thing that
Right.
you like hearing me do, and then I think many others are enjoying as well. So just continue to do this, until the end of time. And so, yeah, that's where the grind is real right there. Just trying to convince people like I'm not some shady con man out here just trying to sell your snake oil. All right, I'm just trying to talk sports and live my dream
Yeah.
doing it.
Hey, and that's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. I'm going to skip this next question, and if we have time toward the end, I'll come back to it. But this next question is what I really want to hear, and it's kind of like the title. Um, is Chicago sports like number one? Is Chicago number one in sports? What makes Chicago sports market different from anywhere else?
Oh, well, as you can see in the title right there, that's one of my shows that I run. This is my local show, The Truth About Chicago Sports. And actually, it's Spotify, got the app. Go check it out anytime you want to hear about
Yeah.
Chicago sports. We also do a live run on Saturday morning, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time, Eastern Time. It is 9 to 10. And on the West Coast, it is 6 to 7. And Chicago sports is, woo, Chicago sports is starting to explode again. Oh my goodness. And you know what? It's about time, because at one point, man, I'm gonna tell you what, we had hit rock bottom. Like, it was like, whoa, what's going on here, man? Why is Chicago sports sunk so low when we at one time were at the height of at every key league? And it's like, what has happened here? And finally, with the rise of Caleb Williams,
Mm.
with what we got going on our hockey side too. Connor Bedard, he's a bona fide superstar. He will be an MVP of the National Hockey League one day. The Chicago Cubs are good again. The Chicago White
Mhm.
Sox have talent again. Finally, Colston Montgomery. Watch out for Mooney. That's the new whose nickname is the Japanese Babe Ruth Murakami. He is a powerhouse, and he's going to be the White Sox first baseman this year. Look out for that guy. Okay, there's finally good happening again in Chicago sports. And
Yes.
when the big four in Chicago are humming, man, the town is at a buzz. Even if you just give us, if you give us three out of the big four, two out of the big four, we'll take them. But it's specifically the Bears. The Bears drive it all. If the Bears are doing good, man, everybody else can kind of be mediocre, and it's just like, okay, like perfect example. The Bulls are not good right now. Bulls are not
Mm-hmm.
good. The Bulls still need a superstar. The Bulls, so we got three out of the big four that are started turning around, and we're gonna see the draft is coming up. There's a lot of talent in this draft. People have been watching. I don't know if people have been watching the tournament or not. There's probably about at least six, maybe seven guys out there that could really help turn a franchise around. And so if the Bulls can get one of those guys, I see brighter days ahead. But until then, they're still on the outs. But the rest of the league is on the come up, and I love it. And the rest, it's exciting. I mean, we're even starting to get some good soccer teams up in there. It's like, what? Let's go.
Hey, I know my man John from the Pitch Grid. He loves anytime the word soccer is thrown out there. So that's why he said my boy Marcus earlier. I'm actually really glad that you brought up the Chicago Cubs and the White Sox, because that does transition to my next question, which is who's closer to winning right now, the Chicago Cubs or the Chicago White Sox?
Both. Well, you know what? On paper and theoretically, it should be the Cubs. But baseball is a weird sport. You can't predict it, how it's going to play out, because when the White Sox won the World Series in 2005, which actually broke the Chicago World Series curse. I know people want to believe that when the Cubs won in 2016, somehow it was when the Sox
Mm-hmm.
won the World Series in 2005, it broke the curse. Um, you wouldn't have predicted that. You would have thought, if you looked at what was going on in that little time period, you'd have thought that the Cubs would have had won the World Series before that White Sox team had won. But it didn't happen. As a matter of fact, I even believe that Bartman situation might have happened in between that point, where everybody thought like this might be the Cubs' year. Then the team collapses. It doesn't end up happening. And then a few years later, the White Sox end up actually winning the World Series. So on paper,
Mm-hmm.
the Cubs are closer. The Cubs are closer right now, but it doesn't. You got to win it. And so what I will say is that I love the fact that the White Sox are finally starting to get some young, good talent. And you know what? If the Cubs don't seal the deal quickly in the next couple of years, that gap could close fast, and we could see the White Sox winning it before the Cubs again.
I I used to love watching baseball. I mean, I grew up playing it, and I used to watch it, and then just I don't know what happened, but like there's like just like a time in my life where I just like woke up one day and I was like, and I just stopped watching it. And I'm trying to get back into it. I've kind of always been like a Cubs fan. Like I like their field. I think their field is just phenomenal. The ivory and all that. And when I played baseball games on the PS5, well, back then it was like PS3 and all that, I would always be the Cubs because I was like, hey, my player is starting out weak. And Chicago, I feel like it doesn't. I mean, it's probably not, but it just feels like it's the smallest field in the MLB, and so I would always just be the
When the
Cubs, so I
wind's
can.
not blowing in. When the wind's not blowing in. When the wind's blowing in, Wrigley Field is very difficult to hit home runs out of. So, and the wind's been blowing in for the last like 5 years or something up here. I'm not joking. Like these are little insight things that when you are truth about Chicago.
Okay, okay, definitely gonna check that out. Real quick, and then we're gonna get into the rapid fire because this is moving along a lot faster than I thought it was going to. But if a Chicago team was to win, like which team is winning a championship next? So if like a Chicago team, you were gonna put your money where your mouth is, and you're like, this Chicago team is winning a championship. Which one wins it next?
I always go with the superstar. That is my opinion. A superstar can't be denied. Uh, Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
You go to those Blackhawks teams where they had Jonathan Taves and Kaner, Patrick
Mm-hmm.
Kane. who is the greatest American hockey player of all time. When you got real superstars like that, championships are not denied to them. They find a way to those great players. So I think the Bears have found that phenomenal great player in Caleb Williams. I think he's already the best quarterback the Chicago Bears have ever had. And coming into his
Wow.
third season, he already is. You can't. I would easily put up stats against anybody. He's already thrown more passing yards than any Chicago Bears quarterback. He was 70 yards away from throwing 4,000 yards, which the Chicago Bears have never had a 4,000 yard passing quarterback. He was 70
Right.
yards away, so he's already the number one. He's already the Bears' top
Mhm.
passing yards in the season quarterback already of all time. Already of all time in his second year. Like think about it, like of all time, he's already after his second year, he's already done what Jay Cutler couldn't do. Mitch Trubisky, Justin Fields, the list goes on. He's already done that, so he's already thrown that out the way. Bam. So now what's next for him? Okay, championships. So I mean, yeah, I see Caleb Williams. He will not be denied.
Mhm.
In the way the NFL, you can go from worst to first so quickly, and I don't see him being stopped from getting a Super Bowl probably in the next couple seasons.
Wow. There you have it, guys. The Chicago Bears. If one Chicago team is going to win it, Marcus is saying the Bears. The Bears. All right.
The Bears.
It's time to put you on Call's hot seat. A little rapid fire, just quick answered. I don't, you don't need super detail.
Let's go.
Just first one that comes to your mind, and I'll move on to the next question. And then, if we have time, I can circle back to, there was a fan question, if you want to answer it, but
Okay.
all right.
I'm glad.
So putting you on the hot seat. And the number one question I have for you is best Chicago athlete right now. I mean, is it Caleb Williams?
Yes.
Okay. Caleb Williams. Most passionate fan base in Chicago.
Cubs.
Cubs. Ooh. One word to describe Chicago sports today.
Dedicated.
Dedicated. I love it. Can the Bears win the Super Bowl this season?
Yes.
Wow. Ooh, they can win the Super Bowl. Favorite stadium atmosphere?
Soldier Field.
Soldier Field. I want to experience that. Go-to game day food.
Game day food. Oh, man. You know what? God. Polish. The Polish is one of the best that you can
Polish?
get. Yeah,
Okay.
with some onions, mustard. Oh, it's one of the best you can get.
See, I grew up just like 2 hours south of Kansas City, and so around there, obviously it's barbecue. So, one guest that would break the internet on your show.
One guest that would break the internet on my show.
On your show, yes.
Oh man, my mentor, David Kaplan.
Yay, let's go. All right. Do you want to answer this fan question real quick? It was a
Yeah,
soccer
let's do
question.
it.
So what's the mood around the Chicago Fire and their new stadium?
It's gonna happen. It's pretty much a done deal, and it's an excellent mood. Chicago is excited, that the Fire are now expanding. And because right now they're currently playing in Soldier Field, so to get out of Soldier Field to get and go where they got their own stadium set up, they can create their own atmosphere. Because you've got to understand, teams that play at Soldier Field are just teams that play at Soldier Field. Even the Chicago Bears, they don't own Soldier Field. City of Chicago owns Soldier Field. So for a team, an organization to own its own stadium, you can just generate so much more revenue and do so many different things for your team with that. So it's a great thing and a great opportunity for the Chicago Fire.
Awesome. All right. And last question. And then I'll let you get out of here. We ran a little bit longer, and I'm sorry for that.
You're good.
5 years from now, What does the Chicago sports landscape look like?
Dominating.
Dominating.
And should be dominating in all the big four. 5 years from now, I'm really crossing my fingers as the Bulls get this hopefully a lucky ping pong bounces their way, and I expect them to be back to dominance. But definitely in hockey, they will be dominating again. Football, without a doubt, Caleb Williams, barring that he's able to stay healthy, you're going to hear about this kid for the next 15 years, and the Bears will not let him go anywhere. This kid will stay in Chicago his whole career. I promise you that. Cubs
Wow.
should be competing for a World Series on a consistent basis. They've really built a great farm system. They have a good pipeline. They should be able to continue their level of play for the next 5 years. And the Chicago White Sox will definitely be causing some noise as well. So it's going to be exciting, and it should be dominating for sure.
I love it. I love it. I love the confidence. Caleb Williams is going to be a Bear his whole career. I will tell you, the pairing of him and Ben Johnson has to be like one of the best things that could ever happen to him because, in his rookie season, he really had he really drew the short straw. I mean, he didn't have a great OC, and Chicago Bears had a history of not developing quarterbacks. And I don't know what clicked, but finally they were like, we need to get somebody in here that knows how to develop a quarterback because we have this great talent and we don't want to go to waste. And they brought in Ben Johnson, great offensive minded coach. And I think, like I said, that's probably the best thing that the Bears could have done for Caleb Williams.
Yes, indeed. I'm hoping that my dream is that we can finally establish a legacy like a lot of great head coach and quarterback pairings have been able to do, where these guys have been together for 10 something seasons. I want something like what John Harbaugh just had with Baltimore, what Tomlinson had with Pittsburgh. I want Ben Johnson to be able to be the Chicago Bears coach for 10 plus years. And if that's possible, then there's no reason, unless for some reason Caleb Williams, like I say, is not healthy. But if he's healthy and he's able to, for the career trajectory that I see, then he'll be with Ben Johnson also for those next 10 years. And so with the pairing of them together, that's dominance. That's going to be dominant.
Hey, I love it. I love it. And I can't wait till the football season starts. And, I'm trying to get into all these other sports. I'm trying to get back into basketball. I'm trying to get back into baseball. That way I kind of have something to fill that hole during the off season. But like, I just cannot wait for football season. August cannot come soon enough. And I am super ready. Marcus, I thank you for your time. Why don't you go ahead and plug your socials and tell the audience where they can find you? Because I definitely, want them to know where to find Marcus Mack.
Oh, yeah. So you, like I said, the truth about Chicago sports. That's my local network. I'm the sports director of that station, WRMN 1410 AM. My podcast is simply go to Spotify, Truth About Chicago Sports. You can check out any of the shows. And then what I'm doing on a national scene, if you're not a Chicago sports fan, guess what? I talk national sports news as well. As you can see down at the bottom there, it says Prime Coverage Sports Network Executive. So that is what I'm also a part of. I'm part of Prime Coverage Sports Network, our YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. I do a show every Monday, Unfiltered Sports, but the whole network is exciting. We have a show every day. So we're 7 days a week. 7 days a week, we're running. You can get sports updates, sports information. We have a great team. And make sure to follow all of our socials. We're on X, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, Prime Cover Sports Network. Check us out. It's hot. It's real.
Hey, there you have it, folks. There you have it. That's where to find Marcus Mack. And Levante David just retired. Wow. That's big. Holy cow.
Wow.
Marcus, thank you for your time. I'm going to hit us with the outro, and guys, thank you for tuning in. That's going to do it for today's show of Answer the Call. Big shout out to Marcus for joining us and giving us a behind the scenes look you won't get anywhere else. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves the game as much as you do. And remember, The conversation doesn't stop here. It starts with you. Drop your thoughts, drop your questions, and we might answer them in the next episode. I'm Tim Collins. I'll see you the next time. And remember, talk ball with Answer the Coll. Good night, guys.